know she's been in this business for what? Like, she's been on Disney for like 10 plus years now. So, oh gosh, but still, like,
yeah, 21 songs.
Like, big production like this, 21 songs, that's crazy. That's awesome.
I feel like it's all, if not most, of her new album. And then there's a couple of, like, older songs. So, like, obviously Nonsense is on here. Feather's on here, which I love Feather.
Yeah.
Because I Liked a Boy is on here.
That's good. I love that one.
I can't wait to see it.
I got death threats stealing up semi trucks. Anyways. I hope I don't have death threats filling up semi trucks. That's crazy. And that's crazy again. Okay, that's crazy. That I'm just gonna go on like a little.
Yeah, we're going.
Yes, Olivia Rodrigo wrote a song. It was amazing. It was everywhere. Doesn't fucking matter who the song is about. Why are you sending someone death threats that you don't know?
Why don't we send anybody death threats? Why don't we send anybody death threats?
It's beyond me.
Yeah. Like, let me tell you something. I really do be hating Diddy right now, okay? I think we all do. I ain't sending him death threats. I don't got time for that. Why do people send death threats? Especially over, like, petty stuff. Like, I guess, not to be invalidating to, like, the people's situation, but, like, it's a love triangle. You know, like, there's no reason to be sending death threats to somebody.
And at the end of the day, like she said in the song, when everything went down, we already broken up. So, like, when Olivia released the song, people were sending Sabrina death threats. And they'd broken up months before. I think, like, they dated for, like, 3 months or something.
Yeah,
and
nothing serious.
And, like, Olivia released the song in January, and they'd broken up in October. So, like, why are we doing that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And Olivia didn't want that, I'm sure. I'm sure that's not a purpose of her putting that song out there. Why are we not coming for Joshua Bassett? Like, come on. Go for the guy.
Yeah.
He's the one that did everybody dirty here.
I feel like that never happens. Like, the media always goes for the other woman, but never really talks about the guy.
Let's go ahead and get into our weekly reports.
Okay. You go first.
I guess it's going to be a couple weeks.
Yeah, it'll be over a couple weeks.
I am obsessing over KELSEA Ballerini.
As you should. Yeah.
Let's just put it out there.
When are you not?
I love her.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows me that knows that I love KELSEA and knows that I go to every event that I can possibly go to. And I went to 2 events. I went to the People's Country Choice Awards, which was so much fun. I was a seat filler. I was like 2 feet away from her and Chase Stokes. I will post a selfie that I got. It is my unofficial selfie.
Yeah.
With Chase Stokes, KELSEA Ballerini, Carly Pierce, and Caitlin Bristow.
Even though we don't Caitlin Bristow.
And fun fact, Jason Tartick was sitting behind me the whole time. So, like, yeah, that's the tea. That's tea in and of itself.
Listen, I love Jason
Caitlin
Tartick.
Bristow and Jason. Yeah.
Well, and he was dating Kat at the time, but now they've broken up. So.
I saw that this morning. Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
That was the tea I was sipping all night. And then I went to Little Big Town's Christmas special filming. They filmed that last week. And I went to that, and KELSEA was there. She performed. She was like the cutest human ever.
Yeah.
And Kate Hudson was there. Which, did we all know that Kate Hudson can sing?
So I saw your text about that, and I don't think so. I didn't.
Like, I did not know that she could, and it's not even like she can just, sing. Like, she is a powerhouse singer. Like,
wonder why she never went into singing.
She just released an album.
Oh, shows what I know about Kate Hudson.
Yeah. But I would also like to say, being 10 feet away from Kate Hudson and just, like, looking at her, I was like, this woman is mesmerizing.
I can see that.
Mesmerizing. Yeah. And, like, obviously I love celebrities and everything, but like she had that like I don't know, like what people talk about when they talk about like celebrities and their like star quality, like there's like a halo around them and stuff and like presence.
Like a lot of
like, when they walk
charisma.
into her. Yeah, that was totally her. So props to Kate Hudson. She was amazing. She was really funny too. And then Little Big Town also did their little like introductions and filming and all of that stuff. And they did. I won't spoil. I don't think I can spoil. But there's like a cute little thing that the girls do together. Yeah, but basically, like bottom line, KELSEA has a new album coming out this month, and I'm so excited for it.
I can't wait.
I was on her live stream the other night, and she was played a couple of songs for us. Phenomenal! Like every time she puts out an album, I'm just like amazed by how better and better and better it gets, and then also how open and honest her writing is.
Yeah,
which is why I'm obsessed with her, because you and me, like, we're lyricists. Like, we love lyrics. And we want people to be open and vulnerable and then also have bop.
Yes.
With it. But we love ballads. And, like, this album sounds very ballad heavy. And I'm already obsessed.
And Rolling Out the Welcome Mat was already, like, so good that it's... I'm like you. Like, I've noticed... Like, I'm not as, like, a super fan as much as you are. But, like, with every album that she puts out, you can see so much growth in between each one of those.
And she wrote this album, you know, it's a women written album. So she wrote it with all women. And I think that is phenomenal. She wrote a lot of these songs with Karen Fairchild, which is from Little Big Town. And just phenomenal writing all the way around. And on the keys, we got Aspen. Shout out to Aspen.
Shout out to Aspen. Kate's friend, Aspen.
My friend. No,
Kate's bestie Aspen is on the keys.
Yeah, I messaged him before the People's Choice, and I was like, "Tell everybody good luck."
Oh my god,
I'll be there in the audience cheering you on. And he was like, "Thanks." That's as much as our friendship goes. So I'm just obsessing over KELSEA, as everyone should.
Yeah.
If you're not obsessing over KELSEA, what the fuck are you doing?
Honestly. You will be soon when her album comes out. Everyone needs to listen to the new album.
Yeah, it's called Patterns. And a lot of it was inspired by Chase Stokes. Shout out Chase Stokes.
I love Chase. You know, I was thinking about this today. KELSEA has to be so secure, too, in that relationship, because I've been seeing a lot of Outer Banks edits on my TikTok. It would be hard to see him with Madeline on that show, because they have such chemistry. But I also can see, like, where Chase and KELSEA are so, like, secure and compatible, too, you know?
Yeah.
And she's just a girl's girl.
KELSEA is a girl's girl through and through, let me tell you. But I think, like, it seems like they have some kind of agreement where they don't, she doesn't watch the show. Or maybe she just doesn't feel that comfortable watching the show. But I know she was there throughout a lot of the filming, because she posted some, like, behind-the-scenes stuff on Friday when the Outer Banks stuff was released. I haven't watched this new season yet. I'm probably going to do that. I'm probably going to start an episode when I get off here today.
Yeah.
The ending of, like, the third season.
Yeah, we're going into 4.
Yeah. So we're going into 4. So the ending of the third season was bananas. So, and I've seen a lot of interviews, and Madeline Klein just seems like she's so sweet.
She's so sweet, and she's so gorgeous, too.
Yeah, she's got, like, a soft-spoken voice and everything. So, but yeah, basically, when Patterns comes out, everyone go stream it over and over and over and over and over.
Like we will be doing.
Yes. Please. And, like, KELSEA does not get the fucking recognition that she deserves. Ever. No. It pisses me off so much, and I will say this forever. I went on, like, a whole rant about this with Josh. I was just like, she doesn't get the recognition that she deserves as a woman in country music. Like, I feel like she is pushed to the side.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense because country music is about storytelling. Who has the best fucking storytelling in country music right now?
KELSEA Ballerini. Mm-hmm.
And how Rolling Up the Welcome Mat didn't win any awards like that. Like, no. What we're not going to do is not show her support.
I feel like, you know what I feel like that was? And this is just my personal opinion on it, but I feel like it's because Morgan Evans is also in country music, and I feel like they didn't want to back her because it was obviously about her relationship with Morgan Evans. And I feel like that's bullshit.
I feel like he's just like disappeared to Australia because I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. So. Wonder why.
But anyways, and like just so like her presence in general, phenomenal. She's funny. She's hilarious. She's always going to be relatable, and she's always going to like overshare and just be funny. Her mom, when she was performing at the People's Country Choice Awards, her mom was sitting like diagonal, like just like 4 feet away from me. I glanced over because during the song, Carly Pierce put her arm around Kelsey's mom.
Yeah.
So it like caught my eye, and I like looked over, and her mom was crying while Kelsey was performing.
Aww.
And I just thought it was like the cutest thing I've ever seen. And just again, like shows the family that she comes from and her, you know, kind of staying humble. Chase Dope and being like 2 feet away from me.
Is he tall? Like, is he taller than you thought? Or about this, like, how tall would you peg it just from, like, your view?
Maybe 6 foot.
Okay. That's a good height. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe even a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Because she was in heels, and I think they were the same height. And she's, like, probably, like, she's probably my height.
Yeah.
So it was wild to see everybody, like, all the celebrities, like, interacting with each other because it literally is just like they all know each other or they don't, and then they still like go up to people. Like there was a bunch of people that went up to Old Dominion that are famous country singers and was just like, "Hey, I'm so and so. I've never met you before. Like, good to meet you." And like
it's like a company Christmas party.
Yeah, like it literally was. I was just like, and it's wild to see how the filming stuff works too, because like obviously it was a TV, so like it was different at the filming of the Little Big Town stuff because that's like productions differently. They were still rushing people, but it was a little bit different kind of rush because they didn't have to have like a timed thing, whereas the People's Choice Awards they did. It was timed, so like before the show starts, they were like 2 minutes till showtime, and they start like flashing the lights, and then like you have to get to your seat. And then there's a person that comes over, and if they still see people up, they're like, "Get in your seats, 30 seconds." And it's like, "Get in your seats, 10, 9," and then it's like applause. And you have to like applause, and you have to look excited. Like people had to talk with us, like you have to be excited. You have to get people excited. It's your job to smile and clap and everything. I was like, oh, this is intimidating. But also it's like when commercial breaks happen, I didn't know this about award shows. When commercial breaks happen, they happen there too. So like they say like 2-minute commercial break, 3-minute commercial break or whatever. And then they have like that's when people get up and they mingle, and like that's where you get those pictures that people get, you know. Like I've seen so many pictures from award shows, and I'm like, when do they have time to take pictures?
Right.
Oh, it's commercial breaks.
Yeah.
And then that's when they all interact with each other, and like if someone's performing, then they get taken back by a production member, and they go backstage, and that's where they come out. And then there's also they practice, like if you're presenting, then they bring out like the mic stands or whatever, and they have you come up to see if the mic stand like fits, and then they have you go back behind the stage. But there's always a production member like telling you where to go and like what to do, and that's when they would also like move us around. So like, we would get moved around if needed. I didn't get moved around, thankfully, after the show started. So because that would have been
stressful. Yeah,
I was pretty comfortable where I was.
Yeah.
But there's some people that got moved beside a lot of people, and I was just like, I don't think I could just sit next to MGK and be like,
yeah,
not have like a mini panic attack. It was just like a cool thing to experience because I never experienced it.
Yeah, you see like the behind the scenes of it too.
It's a lot of standing though. That's what I didn't like. That's probably why I'm back in the boot.
I'm gonna go with reading, but I'm not really reading it. It's an audiobook.
That counts.
I'm reading Lisa Marie Presley's autobiography. Well,
Ooh.
biographies. Riley Keough finished it up, so I'm reading that. So it's narrated by Julia Roberts, which I think is so cool. But then it also has tapes from Lisa Marie Presley in it, and it also has Riley Keough reading some parts, like her perspective on some things. So I think that that's like really cool the way that that's done. I've been reading that. It's really good. It's really sad. Because like I've read a little bit of it, but then I've also seen a lot of like selected stuff from on TikTok and stuff from parts that I've not gotten to yet. Just like Lisa Marie Presley's life. I don't know. I just don't think I realized how much she did not get along with her mom. How much I guess she kind of went through. Obviously, her dad died when she was 9, so like that was enough for her to go through. But like, you know, she talks about like some sexual abuse from one of her mom's boyfriends in there, and so like just a lifetime of like struggle. You know, I think that level of fame and stardom that like the Presleys have is so interesting to me. Like the social world of it all, and like really like there's a disconnection from like what our life looks like in reality. And it's not that like those people can't be grounded, but I think they can only be so grounded in what their reality is. And so like it just, those kinds of like larger than life celebrities are always very fascinating to me. So when it came out, I was excited to read it.
And I also think like it's extremely difficult when you're born into that. Mm-hmm. So like,
yeah,
like how do you know anything different when you're born into that environment of like, you have a camera in your face by the time, I mean, you're fresh out of the womb, you know, and you can't go anywhere. And then also when an important figure as your dad, who is Elvis Presley, dies in such a tragic, unexpected way, too, for there to be like a media circus during your grieving process, I'm sure that doesn't help either.
Right. And she was at Graceland when he died. So she talks about like what that like I guess like she went upstairs and she saw him for like a brief second before someone took her away, and she saw them pull him, like take him out on a stretcher. And she was only like 9, you know, and so then she also says that she goes upstairs like at that point and she smokes a cigarette. At 9 years old, she was smoking. So like just the things that like you're exposed to at that age. You got all this media on you, like you said. She talks about in the book how she did not like attention. She does not like everything being on her, but of course it's going to be because she's Lisa Marie Presley. And then she marries Michael Jackson, who is also another person who everything's on him all the time. I don't know, just this larger than life force, like, you know?
Do you think that was more like a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know, of that situation?
Yeah, because I think, and I haven't gotten to this part in the book, but I've read a little bit about it, and I can see similarities. So, like, and for anyone who doesn't know, I've done a lot of, like, say research, like I'm, like, here doing, like, extensive research. I know a lot about Michael Jackson and, like, his life and whatever, but at the time that he and Lisa Marie Presley were married, he was having a lot of, like, pain medication, abuse issues, and so I think that she saw that, and honestly, I think that's a reason that she left their marriage, is because that was getting so bad, and she was like, I cannot watch this because I watched it with my dad, and I watched it kill him.
Yeah.
You know, she talks about in the book how she connected with Michael Jackson, and everybody on the outside is like, why do you connect with Michael Jackson? But, like, because they had such similar lives, and, like, not very many people can relate to that.
Being in the spotlight from such a young age. My baby's younger than 6, so I have Riley on the wall behind me.
I love Riley Keough. Like, I love her. I think that she's so, like, grounded and articulate, and I don't know, I just think that I just love Riley. So, like, and hearing her talk in the book, her own perspective is powerful, too.
I can imagine the things that, like, she has also been through, too, from being famous from such a young age as well.
Right. Yeah, and just I feel like if you're connected to any of those high profile celebrities, you're just immediately sought after. You know, I think we talked about that on our Taylor series about how anybody who's connected to her, she's going to get tied into that, and they're going to get tied into her stuff.
All interconnected there.
Yeah. The craziest thing that I haven't even gotten there yet, but I saw it on TikTok. Lisa Marie Presely had Riley, and then 3 years later, I think she had a son named Ben, Riley's younger brother, and he died by suicide. I don't remember what year it was. 2021, 2020 maybe. Lisa Marie Presely kept him in her home on dry ice for 2 months, and would, like, go and talk to him. I think he was, like, in the guest house or something. So she would, like, go and talk to him, and it's talked about in the book about how, like, just the immense grief, which I can only imagine that's your child, you know, she felt from that. But, like, having him, I think Riley was the one who convinced her, like, we need to bury him, kind of thing. Just wild.
There seems to be a lot of trauma that leads up to, sadly, what happened to her.
Right. I wish I could be a celebrity therapist. I think that would be so, like, cool. Not cool. Not that I want them to, like, you know, but it's just fascinating. It's fascinating because it's like, you know how, this is what it reminds me of, you know how people, like, will talk about the money can't buy happiness thing, and they say that, like, you can only make, I think the average is like $70,000 when people's happiness stops going up with the amount of money that they make. I feel like fame is kind of like that. Like, you go from not being famous to getting to this sweet spot of fame where, like, that's a good spot to be in, and then you almost kind of can go past that, and then it can become isolating, you know, and dangerous.
Yeah.
Can be, not always.
I've heard this so many times, and, like, Taylor Swift just talk about it. Like, the whole process of fame is very traumatic, and that would be, like, a whole, you know, we have, like veteran PTSD, we have, like, sexual abuse PTSD, we have, you know, domestic violence PTSD. Would we have, like, fame PTSD?
Right.
And, like, has anyone done research on that? That would be very interesting to see what comes out of that. In particular, like, how it does it matter, like, the level of PTSD you have, like, whether you were born famous from, like, a famous family, or if you just were thrown into fame, like Justin Bieber.
Right.
We've all seen Justin Bieber go through such a horrific time, which, I mean, I think a lot of things, from what it sounds like, a lot of things are going to come out about
that,
what he was exposed to from such a young age. I mean, even Usher has talked about living with P. Diddy when he was, like, 14 years old and being exposed to very grown-up things that he should have never been exposed to. But again, like, being thrown into the world of fame or coming from the fame, like, which one is more traumatizing?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that probably, like, nobody's even thought about it that way, because I think a lot of people are just like, well, you have all this money and luxury, like, what could be bad about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't see that as traumatic, but I think it definitely can be, you know?
I mean, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, like the Menendez family, like, just going into that, like, they were a very wealthy family, and look at what was going on behind closed doors. There was a lot of traumatic things happening. I mean,
Free the Menendez brothers.
Just kind of like therapy question. For a lot of it is going to be for, like, future therapists or therapists that are currently working.
Or if you just, like, want to know about us as therapists.
Some, like,
behind
the scenes
of therapy.
What's going through your therapist's head.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to go with first?
You tell me. I'm here for it. Whatever one.
Okay. Well, let's go with, what are the most important traits for a therapist to have?
Well, I think that the first one is empathy. Like, you have to give a shit. I guess you don't have to, but you're probably going to have a really hard time being successful and connecting with clients because clients aren't stupid and can tell when you don't give a shit. And you're probably going to burn out and not like it if you don't care.
And that's also, like, I think when you do care, there has to be a line there too, where you're going to burn out on the other end.
Yes.
Because you're caring so much that it's just draining you. And that's where, like, the boundaries have to come in. But I agree with that. I always say, like, the unconditional positive regard, which is like the big therapy saying for that we learned in school.
You know, I think one of the theorists said it is like, you can do all the book work, you can do all the theories, you can do all that science stuff, but at the end of the day, you're just a human sitting with another human in session. And sometimes that's all it is. Like, sometimes there's not any big fancy science thing that we're doing in session. Sometimes we're literally just being human to human.
Yeah. And just connecting with the person sitting across from us. Because if you don't feel connected to your therapist, then you're not going to open up and talk about anything going on.
Right.
And if you don't feel like you have that, like, trust with them, then there's no progress that's going to be made, which is why I always say, if you don't connect with, like, your first therapist, go find another therapist. Because it's not going to be your therapist is not going to be insulted for you to be like, I think I need another therapist. Like, I don't think that there's a connection, because 9 times out of 10, that therapist is going to see that there's not a connection there too.
Right.
And that's okay. We can refer you out to someone else who you might connect with better.
And that's normal. Like, every client's not going to fit with every therapist. And
you also have to, even as a therapist too, like, you might get into a specific population and realize, hey, this is not for me. Or you might get into that specific population and be like, okay, I connect very well
with people in a specific population of people.
Yeah, I connect very well with them. Whereas, you know, I've seen a couple of kids in my time in private practice, and honestly didn't really connect with children under a specific age of, like, 16. And that's when I realized, like, okay, kids are not in my population, so I will see 16 and up. And that's perfectly okay for you as a therapist to kind of, again, get in a session and realize, this isn't for me. Right. So kind of having that, like, maybe even, like, talking about the traits, maybe having that awareness.
Yeah. And, like, you have to also be, which I think that this comes just with time in the field, just because, like, for me personally, I know when I first started, I was like, I just want all of my clients to like me, right? And, like, I want to connect with everybody. So you have to kind of also build a solid foundation as a therapist of, like, not everyone's going to connect with me or even like me, and that's okay. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm a shitty therapist or I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I can name clients who I did not connect with, and I can name clients who I've worked with for years and have made amazing progress with. So it's just case by case, you know, and like you said, population by population, you know, sometimes.
You know, that makes me think, like, I miss just specifically substance use only environments, being in the substance use environment. And I don't think until, like, people, I guess, unless you're drawn to it, because there's some people that, like, don't connect well at all in the substance use population. But because it's a very heavy cycle.
It is.
Sometimes because I mean there is a lot of, like, relapse in that, and but kind of also the sense of, like, feeling proud of that person, like seeing them, like, come in, and then if they do relapse, and then, like, working with them to get back on track, right? They're back on track, seeing that progress. It's like, it is a very rewarding That's the word.
Yeah, rewarding. Yeah.
Job to have. Yeah, there's a lot of populations that are, you can see that reward, but I think like the population that I've felt the most reward with was the substance.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I specialize in substance use as well, and I'm still kind of in it. And they joke. I say this a lot at work because it's like you get like what people consider like the roughest clients, because they're not always the most compliant and like happy and elated to be there, but they're just like my little angel babies, and like I just want them to do so well. And like it's such a special. This is with any population, but having a therapeutic relationship with someone is such a special thing. So I think I'm like you, like that's where I have felt the most of that. But some people feel the most of that with kids,
And I think kind of like also an important trait is to be kind of like adaptable, because you're going to get thrown a lot of stuff. And sometimes you're going to have to like be like, we're going this way. Oh, yeah. Okay. We're going back this way. We're going this way. Like your client's going to take you down a lot of avenues. And then one day they could come in and they could sit down and they could tell you something that they have never told anyone before. And you're just like,
yeah. So for anyone who's like not experienced grad school as a therapist, we, at the end of our grad school experience, we have to video ourselves doing therapy, which is like the most vomit-inducing thing, because then you put it in front of your peers and everyone's like, here's some constructive criticism on that. So like I remember just the days of like videoing, and I'm like, okay, I've got a plan for this session. Like I'm going into it with this, I'm going to show off this technique, like that I know what I'm doing. And you get in there and the client comes in there with something completely different. And you're like, okay, well, kind of like tossing your stuff off the desk that you were going to do, but you have to kind of go with that because it's their session.
I always say the people that like come in and sometimes, apologize and they're like, oh, wow, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to like go off on a tangent about that. I'm just like, this is your time. This is your space. You can go off on whatever tangent you want to.
Right. And I'm right here for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like if someone's upset about something and they get like really loud and they're like yelling and they're like super expressive and like very passionate about what they're saying to me. And then at the end they're just like, oh God, that was a lot. I'm so sorry. I'm like,
yeah.
Again, this is a space. This is a safe space for you to be able to feel all of those emotions and let them out.
Yeah.
Don't throw a pillow at me or like a box of tissues at me.
Don't do that. Let's not do that. Yeah.
No.
But you can throw it across the room if you need to, but let's not do it at me. Yeah.
Throw it at the wall.
Yeah.
Or like we're going to scream into a pillow or.
Yeah. I mean, there's like some technical traits, like technique traits. I think the biggest like technique trait that people struggle with is silence, being comfortable in silence. And if you're a therapist, you are going to get good at silence.
Yeah. I always think of if anyone's ever watched Gilmore Girls and watched A Year in the Life. When Lorelai and Emily go to therapy together, and there's one, and they're just sitting there in silence.
Yeah.
And then the therapist like looks at her clock, and she's like, "Well, time, ladies."
Yeah.
And Emily's just like, "You ran out the clock."
Yes.
Like I just know that she was sitting. They were both, all three, were sitting there for an hour in complete silence.
Complete silence. Yeah.
And that therapist was probably just like, just waiting for somebody to say something.
Yeah. Which, there's a method to the madness. If your therapist is doing that to you, there's a reason for that. So.
Because, I mean, I found myself, like, especially, like, when we were recording ourselves in grad school, like, when there was silence, like, I was just like, oh, I need to fill this with something. This is awkward. This is uncomfortable. But,
right.
Like, again, it's not, this isn't my space and this isn't about me. So I don't need to fill the silence.
Get used to rejection if you're a therapist, because they'll ghost you in a fucking minute.
They will. There's a lot of clients that ghost you. But yeah, they will definitely ghost you, even in like a setting where they're required to go to therapy for whatever reason, whether that be like for medication or court or whatever. Like, they will still ghost you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're real good at getting ghosted.
Yeah. And also, like, a good trait is also to be assertive in those moments. Like, if someone ghosts you like that, and then they come back and they're like, well, I saw you once and I need this for whatever purpose, like for court, for example. And that's where you say, I don't tell half truths. And if you want me to write this letter, the letter's going to say they attended an intake session. And that is it.
Yeah. Boundaries, baby.
So you got to have really strong boundaries.
You do. Because here's the thing, like, boundaries, I think, can, especially when I started out, I feel like I was being mean. You know, I feel like I was not being helpful because I was setting those boundaries. But you have to look at it on a behavioral point of view, especially when it comes to more difficult populations of, like, this behavior has gotten them what they've wanted. This behavior has worked for them in the past, and it's led them down some not so great paths. So we need to kind of do something different to change that behavior. There's some people that they've not have been held accountable, which I think holding people accountable, just in my experience, holding people accountable builds more rapport with them than just letting them do whatever, you know, because that's how you build trust. You know, I can think of my long-term clients, and I've heard, like, one client in particular say, like, Autumn's good, like, she'll cut up with us, and, like, you know, we laugh in here, but we also know that she means business about stuff, you know? So you kind of have to be like that.
And, like, a lot of people, they don't need another yes man in their life, and that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're here to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And challenge some of those behaviors and some of those thoughts. I'm not going to agree with everything that you say. And I'm also going to give you some, like, problem solving things so that, like, you can put those to work in your real life.
Right.
Because I'm not going to be there in your real life to hold your hand and guide you through it.
Yeah. We're there to kind of help facilitate change. And I think that society kind of doesn't always media doesn't always talk about therapy like that, because a lot of times I think therapy is perceived as, like, a bitch session every week or event session every week. And that's not always therapy. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's what the client needs. But we're facilitating working towards a goal and facilitating some kind of change and helping the client do that. So a therapist who did therapy well, we think, in media.
Yeah.
My first instinct, and I know that like I said it when you asked me, was Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams' character in that, I think that he was just very straightforward and no bullshit, but also he was consistent, which I think is really important, especially depending on, like, the client. Could be a lot of trauma. I feel like my substance use clients, being consistent is very important. So, like, they can get pissed off and leave session, but we've got another one next week and I'll be here. You know, I feel like that's very important in building that. So I feel like that's how it was. I feel like that was a good display of that in that movie.
Of, like, it's okay to be, like, upset with your therapist and be mad, but, like, know that that's also going to be, like, a growing moment. Not even for just the client, but for you as a therapist too.
Yeah. A lot of people, and not even just clients, I mean, us too, we've experienced people in our lives not being consistent and not showing up even when it's hard. And having that, I think, is a lot of building a therapeutic relationship.
And he did do such a good job. I think I've only seen that movie maybe twice.
Yeah.
But I do remember it because it was such a significant, like, this movie in general, and I think he did such a good job.
Yeah.
So he did hold that space.
Yeah. What was yours? What was the one that you thought of?
The big one that I can think of is in Modern Family. I can't remember what season it is. It's maybe season 6 or so. It's Alex's junior year in high school. And as we know, junior year is, like, a big year for, like, testing, college, all of that stuff. And for those of you who haven't watched Modern Family, it goes through, like, the same family but different groups of this family. So Alex is Claire and Phil's middle daughter. So there's 3 of them. And Haley is kind of like the I would say that Haley got Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And Alex is the, like, whiz kid. She's always been smart. She gets valedictorian. She goes to Caltech. She's the smart, the very intelligent one of the family, but there is a lot of pressure on her. And the young one is definitely, he's hilarious, but he's not the whiz kid of the family, bottom line. So Alex it's her birthday, and she kind of has this, like, huge breakdown because they're, like, trying to celebrate her birthday, and she's like, I have to study, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, and she's, like, making lists, and she kind of has this breakdown, and so they send her to therapy, and the therapist does such a good job of, like, holding that space for her while also challenging her, because she's kind of just, like, she gets kind of sassy with him, and he gets a little sassy back with her, and she's kind of just like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And he's just like, no, he's like, what happened to cause this kind of, like, breakdown? And was, like, asking kind of, like, the right questions at the right time. And, like, there was one part in particular that I remember. He was just like, I can't remember exactly what question he asked, and she goes, I don't know. And he goes, you're a smart girl. Try a little bit harder. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
like, just that little, like, push. And she opened up, and then, like, I think that's just sometimes, I don't know if, like, the first session I would push a client that hard.
Yeah. No.
But
build some rapport and some resilience in that relationship first.
Yeah, because she made a joke about, like, his age or whatever, and so then he also continued to do some, like, joking about his own age and stuff, and she was like, no.
Yeah.
but basically, like, he challenged her and pushed back with her, I don't know, and, like, if a client says, I don't know, they know.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of times they know. It's just kind of, like, giving them that little push to say, and, like, offering that space, like, it's okay to say this out loud. And, like, the thing that she said out loud was basically, like, a negative thing towards her family that she that was, like, the most significant one.
There's a lot of media and things that portray therapists not great. Like, there was a show that I started, I never finished it, but there was a show that I started, I don't even remember what it was now. It was on HBO, I think. And this therapist would, like, learn about her clients' lives, and then she would put herself in her clients' lives. She would learn about a client's ex-boyfriend, and then she would go sleep with the ex-boyfriend. And I'm like, why are you even portraying therapy? Like, I guess I get it for the entertainment of the show, but I'm like, that's just, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to watch anything like that either. That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I do. Josh knows this too. I'm very, like, critical when it comes to watching therapists, like, on TV shows. I'm just like,
me too.
I wouldn't have asked that.
Yeah.
Right then in that moment. I probably would have done this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's like sometimes I'm just like, oh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, and I think it's just because we take our job very, like, seriously. Like, we have a very fun job a lot, but we also take it very seriously because it's so, like, important, you know? And I think that our grad school program really drove that. Like, I just remember our professors being like, you could hurt somebody if you don't do this the correct way, so make sure you're doing this correctly, you know?
Yeah. And pushing, like, the importance of that. You know? I think that's, like, as a future therapist or just therapist in general, like, it's a big responsibility. And you have to remember that. Basically, if a TV show or a reality TV show or a movie wants to hire me in Autumn to come on and do therapy for the actors, just let us know.
We're very ethical. Don't think that we're going to sign some crazy shit that is unethical.
I ain't telling you shit.
I'm not telling you jack shit.
Yeah.
That's our stance on confidentiality. I ain't telling you shit.
Literally, that is one thing I tell people all the time. I ain't telling you nothing.
I ain't telling you nothing. What's your favorite part about being a therapist?
The cardigan. I'm kidding.
Same. I like getting to hang up nice, cute things on my wall, my office.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, this is gonna sound cheesy, but like a lot of times it's the client. Like,
no, that's my answer too.
Like, no matter what the client is, and no matter like if they ghost me or not, like, still just building those connections. I think like I think it's taken a lot for me to get to this point where I do feel like I am an extroverted person.
Yeah.
And building those connections with people, I enjoy so much. So getting to do that with clients, and also on the flip side, like, not just building connections with people, but getting to help them, and getting them to see like changes in their life, and them come to me and be like, hey, this thing just happened and I couldn't wait to tell you. Like, hearing that, like, just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And I do that to my own therapist, and she's probably like,
yeah. Same. Me too. I'm like, you're the best therapist. Yeah, mine's the same. Like, I would echo that. Like I always say, people around me all the time always hear me say, like, but it's so fun. And I think that's what makes it fun for me, is like, as exhausting as it is, and I come home and I have like a headache, from carrying the emotional stuff of everybody, like, I would not do anything differently, just because it's so, like, the rapport that you build with your clients is so special. It's almost sad, like, for me, working in substance use, like, when they graduate, drug court, or they, and they graduate group, because I do group therapy a lot. And so when they graduate group, I'm like so happy for them that they've graduated group and they're so excited, but I'm also like, but I just want to continue seeing you doing well. But
exciting to see the progress. Like, people need to stop speaking on things that they don't know anything about. And if you don't know something about a topic, and you don't know how sexual abuse changes the brain, and we've talked about this, complex trauma literally changes your brain,
then shut the fuck up.
Then shut up. Like, if you don't know anything about that, just like take a back seat and take a minute.
Right.
Like, okay, like, they've done 20 years, right? This far.
Yeah.
Like,
and in that 20 years, they've done 35. In that 35 years, they've done a lot. Like, one of them has a counseling degree. They both do stuff for like, redoing the prison to make it like nicer looking. They both have like groups for sexual abuse survivors in prison that they run. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're doing things in there and
to rehabilitate themselves,
right,
which is what prison is for.
Exactly. Like, there's obviously a punitive part for it, but at some point it needs to be about rehabilitation, and they're doing that more than Gypsy Rose did, and she's out just fucking around doing whatever. So yeah, I get all hot and bothered about that, just because it's just like, well, and the thing about it is, it's like, the Rodney King trial happened where it was a police brutality trial. Police did not get in trouble for it. So then Los Angeles was like all torn up about that. Okay. As they should have been, because the police should have been held accountable. So then OJ's trial comes along, and they inflame that with the racism part of that. And so then he got off scot-free because they didn't want, so then the Menendez brothers come along, and the court system there looks like trash because they just fucked up and didn't get OJ. So they made it to where on their second trial, there was no way. Like, they took out the option for manslaughter. Like, so they made it to where they couldn't even talk about the sexual abuse in the second trial. So they made it to where it was a slam dunk because they didn't want to lose. So it was a whole thing. I could literally write an entire sociology paper about it. But yeah, I saw Brianna Chicken Fry on there, and I was like, girl, shut up.
Well, let's close it out with something more positive.
Yeah.
So,
something happy. We normally do intentions, but like, I feel like that our intention of the week is to just be like, get lit and have like the best time ever.
Can that be your intention?
Yeah, like our intentions.
Both of our intentions?
Yeah, like our joint intention of just like having the best time. Like, I'm so excited.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So, and I'm already wearing my Taylor and Post shirt.
Hell yeah.
I'll be wearing on Saturday.
I'm also wearing a Taylor and Post shirt. I saw another cute one that I wanted to get, but I didn't have time to get it. But
I made this on my Printify. I could probably sell it on Etsy, but you know.
You probably could.
Yeah, I don't know, like copyright pictures and all that stuff. That makes me nervous. I don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
I'm too poor to be sued.
If you see Kate and I at Post on Saturday, we'll both be wearing Taylor Post shirts. Because we never forget where we came from. So.
No.
Love you, Taylor. We know you listen.
Love you.
Love you, bye.
Oh, before we leave,
yes.
What do you think is going to happen on Friday? Do you think Taylor is going to change the whole set list like she did between the other After Tortured Poets? Do you think that's going to be different? Do you think Florida is going to be added for good? Do you think Reputation is going to be announced? Or another album?
Not Reputation. I don't think we're getting another album or Reputation until 2025. That's just what I think. I do think that there will be some changes in the set list, and I do think Florida will probably be added.
Do you think Florence will be there the whole time?
No. She might. Maybe in all the Florida shows. Yeah. But as far as like Indianapolis and Toronto, no.
Yeah. That would be so funny if she like performed Florida in London and then didn't perform Florida in Florida. I feel like that would be such a funny thing for her to do.
She is funny, so she might just.
And someone said if like nothing happens on Friday and nothing's changed, it's like the same thing. And she starts playing Maroon. No, the Swiftie lore if you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't wait to see.
Yeah, we've got that to look forward to as well this week. So be on the lookout for Eras Tour coming back on Friday the 18th.
The last leg. What are we going to do when it's over? I'm going to be so probably emotional when Eras Tour ends because it's going to be like the end of an era, the Eras Tour.
Literally.
So.
Yeah. Well, when this episode goes out, we will know what happened.
Yeah, we'll see what happened. See if we were wrong or right.
Well, we'll see you guys later.